port mini yow nek nga ko xamne bina nga ci lu bari, you know, I follow the follow on your social media, that is Facebook. Okay. And you've also you know, send a lot of evidence you xamne, you know, am na ko. Why, what is the problem yan ak nguur bi right now?
Do ak nguur gi, because the laws on land acquisition leer na. Mais su nguur gi buggee dara ci sa loxo daf la am pour approach la. Ne la dama soxla lii pour the general public good. Waaye ñii niñ nekk di laahu and the director of the GPA, who really we have are from the same compound. Ne waxtaan nak ñi am ay kër Sanyang, waxtaan na ñi nga xam ne they will be affected. I'm not going to mince my word. That is a lie. That is a lie. I telephoned him directly from when I was in Finland to say, look, I've heard about this. Oh, we may be looking at Tangi, we may be looking at this. The main thing for me that I think they're going to be doing, because you remember when they started, they say, well, they were going to create Banjul ports and Sanyang ports at the same time. And that once they finish with Sanyang port, they are going to make Banjul ports into a high-class accommodation with those nice mosquitoes. Now, the law says that if they're not going to be using it for a port, they've got to give it back to the people of Afdai. They haven't got the power in the law to sell it. They can sell it back to the people of Afdai for the money that they gave them. And that is what the law says. If the people of, that were owning it previously decide they don't want it, then that's well and good, then the government can dispose of it as it sees fit. Now, when they come with this Turkish company, the video that they created said that they're going to be doing mining, they're going to be doing fisheries, they're going to be doing this, they're going to be doing that.
And that's Al-Barak company, right?
Al-Barak, yeah.
Okay.
And for me, the problem comes in a number of ways, because the map that the Al-Barak used, I actually created for Google. And that's one of those things where, like I said, when you look at petty jealousies in the Gambia, that when the map was being done, I turned around and said, give me the street names of everywhere, and I will name every street in the Gambia. Then we wouldn't have had the problems of finding you.
Yes.
And I will name every street, and they thought I was going to be making millions. For me, what they do is they're just holding back the place. So Al-Barak agreement, the company seems to be mired in problems everywhere that they've had a dealing. This dealing of saying that the government takes 20%, Al-Barak takes 80%. Who's going to be getting that their share of that 80%? The people should have to ask things like that. Why are they now saying that instead of building the Banjul ports at the same time as Sanyang ports, that they want to build the Banjul ports and have to take a 6-year break, which means they want to take 6 years of mining the ilmenite and other minerals in Sanyang, which they will then sell to build the port. So technically, they're not using their money to build our port, they're using our money to build the port. Who on God's name will agree to something? Sometimes I look at it and think, they take my place after me building it for the past 24 years. That's why I said, you better come. I've got the complete forest, virtually all the local trees that you can think of are there.
In Sanya. But they actually came there the last time. I think they met the community of Sanya. Were you not present?
I was actually, I think I was either in UK or in South Africa, because I decided I've had enough of this place, so I'll take a 7-month holiday. But the meeting was so shallow. And at one point, I actually got myself into trouble by saying that they came and they were talking to the villagers as if they were talking to village idiots. Unfortunately, a lot of people in Sanyang took that as an offense, that I was swearing at the people of Sanyang and calling them village idiots, rather than saying that the person that came and was holding the meeting was disrespecting them. They were being asked about the plans for the ports. Oh, we haven't had one yet. They should have had a consultation with the villagers 3 years ago, when the project was initially thought of. In fact, there was another project that was during Yahya Jammeh's time with some Middle Eastern country, which is now operating the port in Dakar. And they were supposed to be coming in. That was favorable to the Gambia. These guys are coming in, and it looks more like a no susu for me, because the area that they had identified on the as being possibilities of the map takes the whole of Sanyang Beach. So the general population in Sanyang who do not have access to the beach anymore once this thing is built. They are saying that they're going to build all of the port on top of the land, as opposed to what you normally find internationally of them building the jetties out and using as little land as possible. They're talking about taking 1,300 acres of land to build this port. That's bigger than Istanbul, that's bigger than Hamburg, that's bigger than Southampton. And the large part of that, half of it, is where government is saying, well, this amount that the port has decided, we are going to add more to it because of the fact that we need it maybe in the next 10, 20, 50, 100 years' time for expansion. Now, for me, what would have made sense was that if they had built, extended the port in Banjul, they've got all that mud flats, because you know Banjul ports, a lot of it was actually reclaimed from the sea. They could have reclaimed the whole of those mud flats out that is being used as a dumping site for ships, all the way to Mandinari. Then they would have had the roads leading from outer ring road of the ports, where somebody's going to, let's say, Basse or whatever. They can just take the ring road and go straight to the thing. They don't have to go to Canifing. In Sanyang, you've got people that have built their houses, developed. A lot of people in this end seem to think that Sanyang is just forests and monkeys and generally.
If I understand, small understand, is first, you don't trust the company, that is Al-Barak.
No.
Linga Folk is Al-Barak, Lunibukadef is they want to use the site for mining. Now, they
not just Al-Barak, including government officials.
Including government officials. So you think Amun Halis to build this port, but they're taking a lot of years so that they can do sand mining at the site. They will use the same money and build the port. Now the second thing is Yenafa Ame Island.
Yeah.
But instead of meeting you, the landowners, they meet the village. Some of the, but they did not meet you people.
No.
Right, and that is the problem.
Mostly,
How
yes.
are you handling this problem?
Basically, the mineral that they're wanting to extract is ilmenite. Sanyang was one of those places that was used by the British back in the 1800s. That's why there was actually a train line that went from Sanyang all the way to Banjul. The minerals that were being mined by Gach and all these other companies the last 20 years was the waste material that the British had left behind. Now, if they are going to be saying that they need 6 years or whatever to rest and recoup whatever little amount, like if you look at their figures, they say they're going to spend 130 million to do Banjul.
Yeah, the expensive.
That's it, with the computers and so on. But that they are able to spend 650 million to do Sanyang Beach. Why do they need 6 years break after spending only 125 million?
Yeah, that's a good question. if they are liquid enough.
If they're liquid, they do not need that. When I was setting my company in here, but I don't know if you know Bakau by the post office, you used to see some boats in front. That's my company.
Okay.
Before I got hamstrung by government officials to the point that I just shut the company down and watched the boats rot. Rather than
they didn't allow you.
They try to make me work with some of these tour operators where the tour operator will get paid £25 and I get £5. And I turned around and told them, I got called into the NIA. I turned around and told them, what they would not disrespect me in Europe, I would not let them do it in my own country. I had when they came and said that they wanted me to go to the NIA, this was during Jammeh's time, I said, wait for me to come in the morning and I'll bring my documents. I brought that red passport from 1970 to show when I left the country. I think there was maybe about 12,000 or so people that had a passport before me. I brought all my other documents, including a document where I sold my house in central London. If you know London, basically I had a house in Notting Hill, which was walking distance of where Prince Charles was living. I sold that house for basically £250,000 and I came here with cash. I bought all these boats and equipment and so on. They decided to block me. So I turned and I showed them all this stuff and said, do you think I'm going to work hard in Europe, bring my money to help develop my country, that I then give it to some outsiders? They get 20, I get 5?
Doesn't make sense.
But basically that's what is
what they're doing to people.
That's what is in existence right now. The thing about saying about the TDA and the tourism tax, that was only applicable to the TDA. Where the yellow taxis cannot operate in the TDA, but the green taxis can operate. The green taxis cannot operate outside. But now they're going to restaurant owners way away from the beach and saying you got to pay the GTB tax. So I mean, it's the thing with the ports matter is that if you tell me a lie once, I will say maybe you made a mistake. You tell me a lie twice, 3 times, 4 times, then I'm the fool. And basically, they think that they can treat us as a fool. That meeting that they had at the village, I suspected they might do something underhand. So I sent a reporter to record it, because I think now, apart from Kerfato and a couple of other places, some people have been got to taste some of the dutir.
Yeah.
And their mouths are all stained with it. So they try to keep a little bit quiet.
Right.
Some of the press approached them and said, look, this doesn't make sense. Investigate and check what is going on. They don't.
So what was the meeting about? You recorded it?
Basically, that they were looking at doing reports, and that they wanted to talk with the villagers and so on, and they did most of the talking. And of course, some people will turn around and say, well, it's fantastic, it's going to bring up the ports to Sanyang, and it's going to be of benefit. I remember that one of my uncles that was involved in the airport at Keneba, Kiang. That was it wasn't to grab their land, that was for a different purpose. They were fighting each other, so he got them to build the airport there. But these people are negotiating things that do not make sense. Like I said, just the initial amount that they're talking of spending in Banjul, and the much greater amount that they're saying of spending in Sanyang. Why are they not just coming out and say, well, we want to mine the ilmenite, in which case they don't need them. I believe there's a Nigerian company that's supposed to be coming to mine this ilmenite. Gambians say that they can do it, but they are bringing in foreign companies. And that really stinks a little bit like what happened with Banja, of not wanting the locals there, because they think locals might turn around and say no. I mean, you had, I think, something with Nawek where they demanded, asked for somebody to falsify an invoice.
Yes.
When I was running my company, somebody actually came from fisheries and said for me to double the invoice. I told him to get out of my shop. I don't want his business, and I don't want to ever see him in my shop. Because there has to be times where people have to turn around and stand up for their morals. None of this holding prayers before the meeting, prayers at the end of the meeting, and in the middle of the meeting, you're busy telling lies. I mean, God is not sleeping, for God's sake. I mean, when you turn around and tell people, when you go to Al-Ahira, God will pay you back for what you're doing. Before you get to Al-Ahira, some of them have actually end up suffering horrible lives in the Gambia. And the chicken change that they are getting.
So you're this group, did you have any meeting with Jobade and Duko?
No.
So they have not engaged you people?
The owners? No.
Yeah, the owners in any way?
No.
Now this is, the land is big. Okay, the hectares that you've mentioned here is big.
Yeah.
And you have a group, I understand.
Yeah.
And you are leading this group.
Yeah.
Now, what will be your step as far as they have not consulted you according to you?
Well, basically, it's to negotiate for proper compensation. Some of these places were bought to do developments. I think it's not, if you looked at my Facebook page, you saw the development I was talking about needing to do.
Yes.
And this was like 10 years ago that I posted it, so it cannot be that I'm in response to what they're doing. This I had actually come across with traveling in Southern Africa and so on. So you have a lot of people that have done this type of developments. You've got a lot of people that have invested in beach bars, etc. To make sure that they do compensate people and compensate people properly. The last or second to last meeting that Jabati had, he was saying, well, we can give them another piece of land. Which land?
Oh Lord, I think
Yeah.
MRC, is it MRC? They have lands around that area.
Where?
MRC Holland, is it MRC Holland Foundation?
In Sanyang?
Yes.
Well, I know MRC had a piece of land near to the beach, and there was a land that was owned by Sir Philip Bridges, who was the Chief Justice during colonial days up till 81. That was sold to Ibrahim Faraj, the owner of the village.
So the land is sold?
No, no, this is land that is owned by somebody that is in the area, but there is no land in Sanyang right now. And if they extend from there, the one piece of land that was, like for instance, between Sanyang and Tijering was one that I took the Jami government to court. when they given it to a company called Sparran that was supposed to be building a 7-star hotel. And they needed land that was 1,500 meters long by 800 meters wide. That's the size of land from Senegambia to Palmarima. I dare you to guess how many rooms that hotel was going to have.
Yeah, a lot of rooms.
No, 22.
For that land?
Yes.
22 rooms.
22 rooms.
That's a scam.
Yes. And right now, that land is being cut up and shared out amongst individuals, with the knowledge of the GTB. For me, the first thing that they should do with terrorism, none of this GTA, B, C, D, E, F, there's only one department that's needed to be dealing with terrorism. Get rid of the TDA. When in Fatty Job that used to work at terrorism, will tell you, when we had meetings, when, you remember when they had the fun fair at Senegal?
Fat Mas Job?
No. Sorry, Binta Job. Okay. Yeah. And basically,
I know Binta.
That's it. So basically, I mean, we had meetings, and when these guys, the Libyans were building that place, we tried to make sure that they did it and did it safely for the general populace. They turned around and said, well, the APRC uses this place. If you do not stop bothering us, we will go and report you. So we turned around and said, go ahead. We are here to make sure that whatever is done properly, that the people do not get harmed. We were getting tourism ministries coming from Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Ghana, to learn how we were dealing with the tourism in the Gambia. We were way ahead of all of those countries, including even Senegal. The Senegalese, the first thing that they did, once they realized the potential in the 90s, 2000s, was to make sure that everybody that's working in a hotel learned English. None of this that you've got to speak French in the, they all learned English. And now when you get on a British, Brussels Airlines flight, more than 90% of the passengers disembark.
Now, Mr. Janneh, this is development, okay, according to the government.
Yes.
You've mentioned that they said they're going to compensate you lands.
Yes.
Now, why are you people complaining if the residents of Sanyang are saying that they are okay with the development and the government is going to compensate you?
Well, some of the villages in Sanyang were saying that they're going to be happy with it until they realized that the government is now talking about taking everything from the beach all the way to the road. That's why I said it would be important if you actually come on site. They're looking at taking everything to the road. Some of them were like the selfishness of saying, well, it's got to be, when Yaya Jammeh was demolishing some of the lands in Sanyang, they were going there, doing their own contributions to buy food and so on, and they were coming with drums. Developments come to Sanyang. Forgetting that the people that they were demolishing the properties from were helping them all those years. And it is that short-term memory of, well, this is what I want, I will do whatever it takes to get it. Some people are like that. Now, they do not have a right to negotiate something that belongs to me. They sold it to me, so they do not have any right there again. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not only dealing with our lot. Now the villages themselves realize that what they were being told, we managed to get our hands on a copy of master plan, but I don't think it's the complete thing. That they realized that the government was not telling them the full facts. And then Jabate made the mistake of saying, we're going to be taking to the road. Now that's meant that they've actually gone and taken lawyers for themselves. They were making the meetings.
The villages.
The villages. They were making the mistake of attending meetings with government, and government was standing up with lawyers. And that's why I said that when they turned up with the meeting at the school, I had sent a reporter to record the whole lot. Because one of the things that some of our officials are good at doing is to do something, say something, and then tomorrow they say, I never said it. So I made sure that it was all recorded. Subsequent meeting to that, they had sent people to go to people's houses and be writing numbers on there to show the extent of what they were looking at doing. And this was given to a Ghanaian company, who then subcontracted to a Gambian company. Again, why is everything going to foreign companies? Is it that they are likely to be told, well, I'm not going to do this to our people? So once the people realized the extent that they were looking at going, they've now decided to take Lamin Dabo as a lawyer, and they are now turning up at meetings with a lawyer of their own.
Now, your involvement in this issue is you have a land there, isn't it? What exactly do you want the government to do?
To be honest with the population, If it's going to be development, I'm all for it.
Is it about the compensation?
Yes. Basically, that's my retirement home, and it was supposed to be a major development. If I tell you that, let me give you an example.
How do you want it to happen?
Let me give you an example. My house, not the land, my house is 39.5 meters by 29.5 meters.
A big house.
That's the house. All the equipment, taps and so on are brought from Finland.
What is the size of your land?
My land is 250 by 200.
Oh, that's a big land.
I bought it back in 2000 because somebody ripped me off on land that was near to Burfoot. And I decided, okay, if I've got to go all the way to Casamas, I'll go. So I just kept on going till I found land. And they showed me a piece of land and sort of like said, okay, how much of it do you want? And when I realized what they were saying, I said, okay, I'll buy the lot. I could have bought more. But the thing with me then was that I needed something that I can then develop as I go. And as I, like around about this time, I've got the other floor done. That would then have accommodation for things like Airbnb. And then I will downscale to another plot that I have bought, which is smaller, build a smaller cottage on. The compensation, like I said, one must be fair. It must be fair. To just give me, say that, well, I'll give you another piece of land. If it was that, I own land in UK, I own land in Finland.
So what do you want? You want the money instead?
I want fairness. I know it's hard to quantify.
In terms of monetary terms and the way you deal and all.
The whole lot. Fairness is basically what is the thing. And not for me to be part of what is then going to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, or people turning down and say, what is this mess in Sanyang? How did people allow it to happen without saying a thing? We've got to stop burying our heads in the ground. Like an ostrich, if it buries its head in the ground and its ass is sticking out, the lion's still going to chop him. So there is a point where we turn around and say, look, I think there's something wrong. Like I said, when I talked about the fish meal factories, the smell was bad, and they were bad. Government at one point brought the wastewater and decided to dump it at the Kotu ponds, and you know how it stinks there. The smell was so bad that they decided to send it back to Sanyang. Now, something that's not good enough for one set of the population in the Kotu area, you know, there are sort of these rich people that drive these brand new second-hand, third-hand cars and then lord it over everybody else. That they have to have this mentality that, well, if this was so bad that I couldn't stand for it to be at my front door, not to say take it back to Sanyang, or keep it at Sanyang, or keep it at Gunjur, or keep it at
well, that's where it's coming from.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's where it's
But
coming
they are the ones
from.
that have given them the license to do it.
So
That's what I'm saying. I think the issue here is it's not to take it from one place, take it to another place.
Exactly.
Let's say those people don't know better.
Yeah.
Those people don't have the voice. They don't have the power.
Yeah.
They'll just continue to succumb and deal with the mess.
Yes.
Right? I'm sure the people around wherever it was taken, they had to make noise to say, no, it's not here, it's not from here, so you cannot bring it from somewhere and bring it. So they have no choice but to
Yes.
take it back to where it's coming from. So I think the issue is, it's not shelving the problem, but solving it.
Yes.
And that's what they needed to do.
Yeah.
And not even take it anywhere
My point
else.
is,
Yeah.
all lands belong to the state.
No.
Well, that's what the law says.
No.
Okay? Okay. That is my understanding of the law. I'll come. Just
what
let
the
me
law
finish the
says
case.
Yeah, okay. No, but if I can help you. But that was during
Let me
damage.
finish the question.
Yeah.
All land belong to the state. Now they said they're coming to build a port.
Yes.
According to the government, this is a development.
Yeah.
They've engaged the community.
Yes.
And they've told you that they're going to compensate you with another land.
Yes.
Now you threaten legal action.
Yeah. Well, now we are negotiating, not threatening legal action.
Yes, that's what I've been following you.
Yeah.
Do you think you have any case in this?
Yes.
What is the case?
Okay, the State Lands Act, as you are referring to, actually says that the government or department can designate a piece of land state lands. But if somebody is resident or has ownership of the land, they are now automatically given a lease of 99 years. So it's not that government owns all the lands, they were designating lands as they went.
I understand your point, but you know what the law says is...
No, that is the law I'm quoting you.
For example, at Kerfado here,
Yeah.
if government needs this place,
Yes.
you know, they can compensate us and take this place.
But
Do you
no,
know?
it is
That's
no,
what
they
the
can
law says.
purchase it.
No.
It's called compulsory purchase. The land acquisition is compulsory purchase.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
if you entirely own the land, you can actually insist that government cannot take this land.
No, if I can explain, that is, you're making a mistake.
So now, but the point there is,
Yeah.
do you have any case in this?
Yes.
I want to understand what is the case.
Okay, the State Lands Act and the Lands Acquisition Act actually states that if the government needs something for the general good, that they can approach the owners, negotiate with the owners, and I said owners,
Owners.
and that is in the law. And then they will adequately compensate the owners of these properties. They have known that they wanted to do this 3 years back. They've been hiding. And do you not think that there is something a bit odd that all of them that were supposed to sign the contract on behalf of the Gambia government got onto a plane, flew all the way to Turkey to sign the contract and then fly back to the Gambia? Could it be that they didn't want people to hear what was being discussed? Could it be that somebody was promised a piece of land and then shown some land in Turkey that they can have?
When it was for Gambia,
Yes.
why wouldn't these people come to Gambia to sign it?
To sign it.
Because people might hear what is being
Journalists
discussed.
be in attendance and
Yeah,
everything.
that might be because they don't want people to hear what is being said. But like I said, this Land Acquisition Act is actually very, very clear. That if the state does say that something is now state lands, because the traditional ownership is concrete, is sacrosanct. If the government wants it, they then approach the villages and say, we need this piece of land for this purpose, for an estate or whatever. And they then have to compensate the villages. Not to take, like for instance, what happened, well, I don't know if it's totally complete or if they managed to get sorted, to take something to build the estate in Tujering by Social Security. And from what some people were telling me, they were given in compensation, from the same piece of land, they were given 20 by 20. And the land that was taken was a few hundred meters square. So there is a bit of an issue as where people are concerned of even looking at where the TDA is. Because most people have been fed the same thing of where the TDA is all the beach from Banjul to Katong, and then they decided that they're going to extend it to Koina. But there was a lease that was signed by the Gambia government to purchase to lease the land from the people that own the lands in the combos. So if, like you say, Gambia's government is, officials are saying you that all land is owned by the government, why does the government need to lease it from the villages?
Anyway, that's my understanding, and that's what the law says. For me, that's my understanding. But
send you
I
a copy.
still don't understand how do you want this compensated to be done by the government.
Okay.
That's what I don't understand.
Okay.
What do you exactly want?
Right. So let's say, for instance, land is selling at $2,000 is a square meter. $2,000 is a square meter, plus whatever I've invested into the land.
Okay.
Plus whatever I've invested into the land, and that is what the law says. It has to be fair.
So negotiation have started. Did you put this to the government?
Our lawyer, it's being dealt with by our lawyers. It's being dealt with by our lawyers because I think it's one of those things that I will not go into negotiations by myself, even though I am able to talk for myself. I'm able to do the research.
Okay. You hired lawyers.
Yes.
Lawyers. All right. So.